Hey, I'm Mike Lemon of Cyber Safe Teen Nation, and today we're talking to Bob Couchman, our Director of Training, about a new app that we've seen, that he has seen really, and has some pretty different technology than your traditional apps. So, Bob, what are we going to be talking about today?
Mike, we were going to talk about FireChat today. FireChat came to my attention actually through my daughter. She went to a college program over the summer and was gone for 3 weeks and was hanging out with some other kids, and they were using this app. Cued some interest in me. I pulled it up and looked at it, and come to find out it uses a technology that you and I have a lot of experience with back in our law enforcement days when we hunt down our perverts and pedophiles, peer-to-peer networking.
Mm-hmm.
And it sells itself on the fact that you do not need an internet connection to be able to message people. So, and we'll get more into that detail when we talk about it.
Okay. So, let's. Is it a traditional message app or messaging app, or does it do something different besides just be able to communicate, send pictures, text, videos, those different things?
On the front side, it's just like a regular texting app, just like anything else. You send text messages, you send pictures, you send videos. It also has private chat rooms you can talk in too, which we'll talk about that in a little more detail.
Okay. Well, let's jump into it then and tell us kind of what separates that from your average just SMS text or your average texting app.
All right. Okay. So let me get the show started here on this slideshow, and we'll get into that. So FireChat, of course, you'll notice the very first thing they say: no internet required, free messaging. So now a parent's thinking, well, that's free, right? No internet required. That's awesome. Well, let's think about that for a second. Before we get into that, let's talk about this history. It was released in March of 2014. It was built for times of disaster. When the cell phone networks go down and you can't communicate with anybody, this is supposed to be a way to pick up communication and be able to communicate outside of your area. I'll go over more how it works here in a second, but there's no need for a centralized communication network, meaning you don't need cell phone towers. If you're at school, you're out at the ballpark, you don't need a tower to be able to communicate with people. It sells itself that, like I said, no internet required. It's being used now today during the Hong Kong demonstrations because the government in China has disabled the cell phone network. Well, they're using this app to be able to communicate with each other in the demonstrations. One thing I often, and you'll see me do every time I do a presentation on this, is I look at the ratings for the app and what a person might see. Again, it's for 12 and older. This one is mild alcohol, tobacco, drug use references, profanity, crude humor, sexual content, nudity. Think about that as a parent. Do I want my child being exposed to that kind of stuff? Now, a lot of parents don't look at this stuff. This is the kind of stuff that's hidden 3 layers deep to go find, but this is the disclaimers the manufacturers or the producers of the app are putting out there. So
they're already saying, hey, this is what you're going to see when you get our app.
This is a very good possibility, yes. And as in some of the other apps we've talked about, it's a very real possibility and very easy to find that kind of stuff. So in a traditional network, now I'm using computer networking technology graphics here, but picture that middle machine, that middle server as a cell tower. And the six surrounding computers are actually cell phones. Same kind of system, same kind of layout of how a cell system works, basically. Obviously, it's a whole lot more involved than that, but in a basic manner, that's how your traditional data networks work. So you've got the server or the cell tower in the middle, and you've got the users around the outside, which is either a computer connected to that server or the cell phone connected to the tower in the middle, okay? Mm-hmm. This technology, however, you remove that thing in the middle. Without that thing in the middle, number one thing about the control, there's no control over it. But what happens is it works off of somebody else's connection, meaning we could all be connected as a group and not use the internet or not use that centralized tower and still be able to communicate. And that's how they get around the need for the cell phone towers. So basically it works off of, it's someone's cell phone sharing another cell phone's connection basically back to another cell phone, and we'll keep hopping over cell phone from cell phone to cell phone. Okay.
So traditionally, like if I was wanting to use like Facebook Messenger or some type of other chat, so I would have to log on. I'd have to have either internet connection or a Wi-Fi connection, but connected somehow through the internet for me to send you a message or to send you a picture or video, and it'd go through that traditional network to the cell towers to eventually out to your phone.
Right.
This
Correct.
one here, I don't have to do that. So I totally circumvent the cell tower in AT&T or Bluegrass or Verizon. And if you are within how many feet did you say it was?
The app says 200 feet.
If you're within 200 feet, I can directly connect to you. And then
Right.
if you're connected to somebody else who's within 200 feet, then I can connect to them.
Correct. You're basically making a large chain.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. I'll make sure the parents understood that, what we're
Yes.
talking about. So you don't have to have any type of cell phone, any type of Wi-Fi connection. It's literally my phone connecting to your phone, and your phone,
Correct.
whoever your phone's connected to, then I can connect to them.
Correct. And it utilizes the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connections in your phone. Not that it connects to a Wi-Fi access point, but it connects to another phone's Wi-Fi or Bluetooth to be able to communicate between the two devices.
Okay. I
Yes.
think we got that. All right.
So the functions, it's got chat rooms in it, like I mentioned earlier. And it's also got private messaging, just like a text message you and I would send normally if we were connected to a cell system. You can send images and videos back and forth. The thing is, there's no logins or accounts required to use this. So think about that for a second. If I don't have to log in, there's no accountability for what I do. I can send, receive whatever I want to do, and there's no traceability to it at all. And think about that, Mike, with the peer-to-peer stuff we've done in the past, how hard is it to track down a specific user by a user ID if we had it?
Mm-hmm.
So to
Next
me,
to impossible if you don't have some of those logs.
that's kind of concerning to me. And then the last but not least, there's no way to filter who makes contact with you. So if your child has this on their phone, anybody in the world can make contact with your child, and there's no filter you can put in place to stop it because it's not built into this app itself.
So it's not just, phone to phone though, right? As we're talking beforehand. So if I'm connected to you and through the Bluetooth or through the app,
Mm-hmm.
and you are connected to the internet, then now I can connect to whoever is connected on the app on the internet, correct?
Well, you can't use like Facebook or something like that on it,
Right.
but you can still use this app. I can connect through 5 other people eventually to the end of that chain where somebody's actually connected to the internet. And yes, I can now communicate with anybody in the world.
So if a parent says, you know what, we're going
Peer-to-peer.
to get our child a phone, but we're not going to connect them to the internet. We're not going to have their own data plan. So we're going to kind of try to control who they're talking to and how they're talking to people.
Right.
If they have FireChat, that totally circumvents all of that. Because if
Yep.
they're in a group of friends, somebody's going to be connected to the internet, have a data plan, and as soon as that person is connected to their group, then they can connect to whoever else is on the app on the internet.
That's right. Yes.
So it's a kind of an eye opener for parents, because a lot of parents, are trying to do the right thing and trying to limit who can contact their child or how their child can interact on the internet. They say, well, we're going to give them a phone because of safety. We want to make sure we can talk to them so they have a minutes plan or a texting ability, whatever. But we're not going to get them the data plan, so they cannot get on the internet. But this totally goes around that.
Goes around it, and there's, like I said earlier, there's no centralized control. There's no one place to say, hey, who did this and what time, what date. So it's wide open.
And what we're saying is there's no way for parents to put it some type of restrictions on that. Like you could with make your account private, limit who can contact you. Once you're on it, it's totally open.
That's correct. Yep. Wide open to the world.
Yeah. And as far as if something bad happens and you call the police, they're not really going to have a whole lot of information to run on, correct?
There's not a centralized server or centralized data point. So no, there's not. It's going to be very hard to track down anything that was done.
Okay. So I know we don't say this is a safe app, this is a non-safe app, but in my mind, you're bypassing any type of centralized point. So once you're in a group on this and someone's on the internet, you have access to everyone, whoever else is on the internet on this app, and they have direct access to you. There's no security on it. There's no way to put some type of parental controls on it. And if something bad happens, you're kind of on your own. Good luck to you, right?
And I kind of put it like this. Okay, so you have this app. Why? Well, because so I can message my friends. Well, again, we have text messaging. We can do that with text messaging. If they have any other apps we normally use those apps. But it's the flavor of the day, so that app's going to be brought up and used. Again, that parent needs to make that decision. Is this a risk we want to take? for the reward that they can communicate with somebody, or is it not?
Mm-hmm. And I personally, I just can't see. And do you see a benefit? I don't see a benefit to having this app compared to other apps. Do you see any benefit at all for parents to allow their child on this app?
The only benefit I've seen in it is like it's built for a natural disaster. And I mean, if it comes to that point, well, then I guess maybe it might be of some use, but who's going to think about that ahead of time?
Right. Exactly. Well, yeah, this is a new one for me. Like we talked about, it's using technology that really circumvents traditional apps and traditional technologies, and I'm sure other apps are going to be following soon as well. Any kind of advice you can give to parents whose kid says, "Yeah, I think my friends are on this. I want to be on it." What would you tell them?
Well, again, that's their own decision, but mine would be one with caution, just simply for the fact that there's no filtering it, there's no controls, there's no centralized point of access. It's pretty wide open, and that means anybody can talk to your child that wants and send them whatever they want, or persuade them to send the other person whatever they want. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't either. I'll agree with you on that. Well, Bob, I appreciate you coming on today. And for you parents listening to this, having a question for you, and just throw the answer down there in the comments or replies. If your child wants to get on this app or other apps, what are some of your non-negotiables? What are some of your things that say the app must meet this, or we're not going to do it? It can be all types of things, whether it's parental controls or whatever it is. But we like to hear from you to see what, as parents, do you think are some non-negotiables when you're allowing your child to be online. Again, my name is Mike Lemon, Bob Couchman. We're with Cyber Safe Teen Nation. Y'all have a great day.